Hi, everybody. Hello. Welcome. It's Johanna here, better known as Joe. Welcome to A Cup of Joe with Joe. It's our third episode. I'm excited to have you guys here with me. Thank you so much again for welcoming me into your home, for welcoming me into your lives to talk about, topics that are close to my heart and do a little chit chat with you girls and guys. So thank you for joining me today. The episode is episode 3, part 2 of our topic that we discussed 2 weeks ago, which was empowered versus independent, the myth of the independent woman. Empowered versus independent, the myth of the independent woman. And so for those of you who have not seen part 1, I recommend you go to my YouTube page, first subscribe and go watch it, because today is going to be the continuing part of that talk that we had 2 weeks ago. So I want to jump right into it because I ran out of time last time and I don't want to do that again this time around. So I'm going to jump right into it today and kind of go, further into what we discussed. So 2 weeks ago, we introduced empowered versus independent, and we talked a little bit. I gave you a little bit of historical context, both biblically speaking, and as well as in the 50s, 60s, to kind of give you guys the why, the reason behind why the ideology, the platform of independent woman came from, right? That's what we did. We wanted to talk a little bit about that and kind of give you guys context. And then towards the middle, we talked about what that word, that sentence, independent woman, what that means to current culture. And when I talked about current culture, I talked about anywhere between 5 to 10 years gap. So 10 years to 5 years ago, how has that independent woman's mindset, ideology, how has that evolved? And then towards the end, we talked about what I am seeing as a more extreme approach of the independent woman. Extreme in the sense of some of the definitions talked about how, the independent woman is a woman who does for herself. She does not need anyone. She's very self-reliant and she, can push through certain things. She cooks, she cleans, she works, she owns the business, she's a mom, all of those things. And so I was starting to compare and contrast how that extreme approach of the ideology of being a strong independent woman, how sometimes that can be harmful, particularly to Black women, how we even started seeing in the way our healthcare, how we're treated in the space in healthcare, how, we can handle pain. We could push through anything, mentally, physically. We're so strong that we can overcome so much. There is some truth to that. But what I want us to focus about is the extreme sometimes that goes into that mindset that, we're so indestructible that because we can do it all. We have that big S in our chest. Nothing can really hurt us. We could do it all. And so I wanted to talk, expand on that a little bit because, as I said, what I think we should move towards the end of 2 weeks ago, I quoted Dr. Bernard. Dr. Bernard is the pastor of CCC, Christian Cultural Center at Brooklyn. And we closed with this quote. And the quote was, anything taken to the extreme becomes error, even the good things. Anything taken to the extreme becomes error, even the good things. And so I think some of the extreme ways of seeing an independent woman can have potential harm more than good, So in your search, as we're going to get into this next phase now, part 2, which is moving from the language of independent more to an empowered woman, in our search and our journey to be that independent woman. I don't want us to fall into this fallacy that you don't need anybody, that I'm so self-reliant that I can do it all on my own. Because here's the thing, the truth is no one does it all on their own. In reality, no one does it all on their own because we human beings, we weren't designed to walk life alone. We can't do life alone. I mean, perfect example was last year. This pandemic, this isolation, we can't be isolated. We can't do things all of on our own. that, that idea that I can do all bad all by myself is really a myth. It's not healthy. It's not good for our mental health. It's not good for our physical health, because here's the thing: I don't care how educated you are, how boss babe you are, money you making, badass that you are. That individualism idea of independent woman is a myth. It doesn't work. Same thing, like for example, a single mom. I don't know a single mom, as single as she may be in the home raising kids, who did it all alone. There was a community of either grandparents. My mom was a single mom, and I was I was 13, I think I was 15, 16 when my brothers were born. So she had me, I had great aunts, I had uncles, I had aunts, my grandmother, who was helping me, helping her, so that way she can go out there and feed her family. So she can go out there and support her family. There was a community, yeah, she was independent in the sense of she's gonna go and do what she has to do to support her family. But behind that, there was a community supporting her. Same thing for any corporate person in America. No corporate woman the ones that I follow, that I study, and business journals, none of them, as I'm reading their history, their past, none of them made it to the top alone. None of them made it to the top alone. That is a fallacy. They all had a team, okay? And the perfect example of that is my forever first lady, Michelle Obama. She didn't do it alone. She talks all the time in her book Becoming about her mom, her brother, her aunt, her group of girlfriends who helped her, who helped get her to the next level. Heck, she had and still has her husband, Barack Obama. There was no Michelle without Barack, and there was no Barack without Michelle. The two of them together, supporting each other, pushing each other forward, is what made the dynamic that we see now. And that's what is part of her story, that she is strong, that she is not alone, that she had a community, that she had support. So now what you see she's doing, she's pouring into others, right? That's when you start moving to that empowered woman, right? Is that you are so strong, you have overcome, you've done so much, you were so supported and loved and cared for, that now you want to share that with other people, right? That's what you're seeing. You're seeing an empowered woman who now is using her voice to bring others along with her. That's where we need to move. That's where we need to move. This is where we're going. The idea of that I can do it all myself, or I did it all by myself. So not only don't I need anybody because I did it all by myself, but I'm not going to help somebody else, because you know what? They can do it on their own. If I could do it on myself, they could do it by themselves. That I mentality is destructive. Particularly with women, it is destructive. We are the backbone of our community. In Creole, they call that potomitan, of the home, of the community. Without us bringing and giving and pouring into others, our communities are going to be destroyed, particularly the Black women. And so one of the characteristics that I think we see, as I was giving the descriptions last week, is that the independent woman, in my mindset, is not how we're going to move our community forward. It's not balanced, right? So I'm moving it going forward to being independent, to being more of an empowered woman. That's what we strive to do. That's what I strive to be. An empowered woman that is confident, that can now bring others along, right? And so I'm going to start calling it the empowered woman. And here's some of the characteristics that I see as an empowered woman as I'm evolving in my empoweredness, as I'm myself evolving. Here's what I see. So a truly empowered woman that is, what shall I say? That is not just empowered, but that is confident. Here's the three things that I notice empowered women have in their lives. Here are the three characteristics. An empowered woman surrounds themselves with three types of people, and these are the three types of people. They surround themselves with people they can pour into, right? So a mentee they can pour into, they can bring along. They surround themselves with a mentor, somebody who is higher, who they strive to be than themselves, and so that person can pour into them to help them grow. And then they are then surround themselves with people at their level to bring them along. People who can hold them accountable and that can hold them accountable. Shared vision, shared platform, shared background. When you see a woman walking in her life and she has those three types of people, she's not afraid to be around somebody who's smarter than her so that person can pour into her. At the same time, she's not afraid of giving back to somebody that is a little bit lesser than her or bringing her along. And then she's not afraid to being transparent with the people around her at her same level. When you see a woman and she has those three characteristics in her life, that's when you know that woman has moved from the I independent mindset to an empowered woman mindset. That is a woman you want to emulate. That is a woman you want to look towards. Those are the women I look towards, particularly in Fortune 500 companies and Fortune 100 companies. When you look at them, you know, they've got people alongside them. They have mentors that they meet with and have coffee with, and that, you know, they speak with them once a week. Those are women who are not afraid to share their light. They're not afraid to have other people shine their light on them so they can bring other people forward. So the extremist of the independent mindset robs us of that. It's so stigmatizing, the independent woman mindset, that I see it all the time. And being where I live right now, I see it all the time. I see it where we stigmatize even stay-at-home mom, right? Women who choose to stay at home to raise their children. I hear other women saying, you know, kind of insinuating that they can't possibly be an independent woman because they're staying at home. They're not bringing anything. Really? Let me give you a statistic that I was reading. Max and I, when we were several years ago, we were doing our research for life insurance. And the person came into our house and did all of the, you know, questionnaires and stuff like that. And he happened to mention that in a household where the husband goes to work, is the main breadwinner, and the wife stays at home, one, you still need insurance for the wife, right? You still need full insurance on the wife. Second, we're like, well, how do you calculate the value of that life, of that wife? If something were to happen to her, how do you calculate that? And he says, for every year the wife stays in the home taking care of the children, the husband needs to have minimum $50,000 life insurance on her for every year she's in the home. And that's minimum. So that is the value of when that woman is in the home. If something were to happen to her and she is no longer in the home, he would need to spend $50,000 minimum a year for daycare, being a chauffeur, laundry, food, cooking. He would need. So you're telling me a woman that has such an impact in her family wouldn't be considered an empowered woman because she's not bringing in the bacon? Again, those are the kind of thing I think pits women against each other, right? And really devalued what that woman is bringing in the home. That is the choice she chose to make to raise her family. And you have to be empowered to decide, you know what, I am going to sow in my children so that way they can later be better members of society. So again, the mindset is robbing us of the beauty we each bring to the table. Another harmful thing about the independent woman myth, and I saw that in my marriage, is that, you know, even a married woman, you know, walks around and guilty, you know, so I'm not talking something that I didn't experience, okay? Walking and talking like, you know what? I'm married, but I'm an independent woman. I work, I bring the bacon, blah, 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 blah. I can do what I want, to the point where it even starts affecting the financial. You know what? I don't have to ask my husband permission for buying that thing, or, you know, I don't ask for permission because I work for it. You know, that is very self-focused. That is very selfless mindset. So yes, you work. Yes, you bring the bacon. Yes, you're entitled to what you think is what is rightfully yours. But when you are married, right, in the context of marriage, you set a vow for we instead of I. When you are married, you took a vow for the we instead of the I. So again, I'm not saying you have to ask your husband for permission for every single little thing, but there are certain decisions that has to take place in the context of the we. One of the things I've loved doing now since I started really embracing the whole, let me talk to my husband. It has gotten me out of so many situations when someone approached me about whatever it may be, and I tell him all the time, I was like, I use your name, honey, all the time. So this is what I said, you know what? Let me check with my husband on that. First of all, it's gotten me out of trouble. It's gotten me out of bad deals. It's gotten me out of so many things saying, you know what, let me check with my husband, because I've gotten to the point where now I don't care what you think if I say that. I don't care what you think, because one, I'm keeping the peace in my marriage. Two, I'm avoiding spending money that I shouldn't spend, right? And so that's, to me, where we need to, even in marriage, we have to be very careful, my married ladies, of how we use that I make the money, I can do what I want. Please be very careful, because it can cause major rifts in marriages. It almost cost me my marriage. And so I'm telling you, and I'm speaking to you from experience, that we need to curb that just a little bit, right? Now, here's the thing, Joe. Here you are talking about all of this, all of that. Here's what I don't want you guys to, misunderstand that I'm saying. Understand that I do not endorse a man in the household who is lazy, who is oppressing you, who has a very patriarchal, misogynistic mindset. If he is not living up to the standard that God called him to be in the role of a husband, then he needs to deal with that with his God. Okay, he should deal with that and take it to the Lord, because that is not the standard that he was called to do, and that is not the role of a husband. And so, yes, women, if you are in that situation, then you have to, right, as an empowered woman, put safety guards, safety measures, precaution to not only protect yourself, protect the marriage, and protect the children if there are children in the marriage. So please understand me. I'm not endorsing, not having a man that looks up and lives up to those standards. What I'm saying is, when you have a husband who is a provider, who is a protector, who is doing the best that they can, who is we driven instead of I driven, but you're letting this culture, this culture, this Instagram culture, this, whatever culture dictate and allow you to bring that into your home, and it's destroying your home. Well, guess what, ladies? These women, they're portraying one thing in society, and guess what? They're cuddling up, safe and sound. Their bank account is tucked in. Their 401k is lit with their husbands. While you now bringing that into your home, thinking that's how everybody's doing out there because so-and-so is doing it out there. Let me tell you, that is not true. I'm a prime example of that. My husband and I will sit monthly, we budget, okay? Yes, I get what my allowance is because I'm not good with spending. Whoever is better at at managing the money in the home is who should do it. That is not me. If it was me, we would be broke. And so I realized that is not my strong suit. I am strong in other things. And so I yielded that. And let me tell you, it's been a lifesaver in our household. So again, the man has to walk according to the calling, according to the marriage vows. And when that is happening in the home, then women, that is the part where if you're not that person who manages the finance correctly in the home, let the person who is strong to do it. And that does not make you less of a woman, less of a strong woman, less of an educated woman, less of an independent woman. It does not make you that at all. As a matter of fact, it takes a strong woman to actually do that. It takes a strong woman to actually do that. So definitely get away from the self-focused mindset of the independent woman, okay? Whether you are a small business owner, whether you are in the corporate home, or whether you choose to stay at home with your family. Okay, whichever path you chose that path. You made that decision. And so that is what empowered you. And coincidentally, some of those qualities are actually what makes a great leader, right? When that woman shows up in the corporate America, when you're looking at those women in Fortune 500 companies, you're looking at their family. They're adored by their family. They have very supportive husband. They have, great kids, doing well. It's because they are so in that community that lifts them up, that they're not afraid to go and tackle it in the world, right? They know they've got something to back them up, and so they're not afraid to face whatever the world is bringing them to. So definitely start thinking and moving to that mindset. of being an independent, moving from an independent woman to an empowered woman, because that's where I think we move as a society. We need to move to that part as a society. Now, again, please, I don't want y'all to misunderstand me. There are men out there who will try to keep you in that patriarchal mindset, who are so weak and insecure that they cannot allow a woman to shine. That is not what I'm talking about here. What I'm talking about here is if you are in that space where you have the support, you have the community, and a long-term relationship of a man who supports you, who understands you, or your husband, or whatever it may be. If you are in that area, please embrace the idea of moving from the self-focused I of independent woman to a we mindset, because here's how it's going to improve your community, right? To close, I want to close with this thought process. To me, what makes an empowered woman is that she realizes that she could be outspoken, confident, goal-oriented. She's the go-getter, but she could also be supportive, compassionate, selfless, caring, team player, altruistic. And yes, she can be submissive when she needs to be and outspoken when she has to be. That's what makes you an empowered woman. And when you have that thought process, it doesn't matter what you face in the world, right? It doesn't matter that's what I'm talking about. Once you know who you are, right? You can face anything, because I know I have a support. I know I have a village. I know I have a group of girlfriends. I can text right now and say, hey ladies, my prayer warriors, I need you guys to get me. There's nothing wrong with having support just because I'm out there conquering the world. Right. We have to move from that mindset. So this is my new definition of this. You know, the empowered woman is not a perfect woman, by no means, right? She is determined, however. She is confident and she is fearless, right? It means she believes in herself, but she believes in other women as well, right? She believes in the collective power of womanhood, right? That's an empowered woman. And then she uses that approach in her personal life, in her professional life, in corporate America. So I'm asking you guys to strive to be empowered in what you do. Strive to be an empowered woman, right? In your relationships, in your marriage, in your business. Because once you do that, you realize that you are more interdependent than you are independent. You are interdependent, right? Our communities, especially our Black and brown communities, women in our Black and brown communities, we need to embrace the idea of being interdependent, right? Because our community needs us to move away from an I focus to a we focus. We are our brother's keepers. We are our sister's keepers. When I see a woman put that small business information, you know what? I go and buy. I support. I donate, because that's how we elevate one another. Because we know, again, we're women. We are the backbone of our community. And so if we're not working with each other and empowering each other and supporting each other, who's going to do it? We're still fighting a patriarchal society out there. We're still fighting a misogynistic ideals out there. So we can't be fighting each other. We can't be not supporting each other because I did it by myself, so she's gonna have to find out the hard way. If I find a way to do it and I can clear the way for another sister to come behind me, I'm all for it. And if you're not, like I posted that the other day, if you're not on that vibe, we can't hang, because that's just how I see our communities going. And if we could start that in our community, imagine how we can take it to the bigger world, to this country and beyond. And so that's what I wanted to share in the idea of independent, empowered women. Because as you hear me say all the time, my favorite hashtag, empowered woman, empower women. It's just truth. It's just facts. That's how I see it. You know, as an empowered woman, my job is to then empower women, empower other women in my sphere, in my community. So I hope these, past two Cup of Joe with Joe inspire you to really understand being an empowered woman, that we are interdependent with one another, that we support each other, that we uplift each other, that we speak life into each other's life, that we respect our home, our partners, once it is given, once they live up to the standard of being a husband, of being a partner, of being a father. It is our job to come together. I believe it was, I'm gonna close with this, it was Neo, there was a song Neo has. I think it goes like this: you plus me equal better. I'm a movement by myself, but I'm a force when we're together. Let me tell you something. Once I understood that and I lived that with Max, we changed our family dynamic. We changed our family dynamic. So guys, thank you so much for, joining me. Again, hope you understand we are empowered women and we uplift and empower each other because we are an interdependent community. We need to uplift each other, work with each other, walk with each other, and support one another. It doesn't take anything away from you if you do that. If anything, it makes you more beautiful, more appealing, more caring, and this is what we need in the world today. So thank you so much for joining. I appreciate. Keep the peace. Yes, Pastor Edison. Keep the peace in the home. Whoever is better at that, keep the peace. Exactly. I'm all about keeping the peace. So thank you guys for joining me today. If you guys have any question, like I said, you know how to reach me. My email is acupofjoewithjoe@gmail.com. Go on the YouTube page. You can rewatch this, post comments, reach out to me. If you have my phone number, you can text me, share this, share it with a friend, share it with someone, that's feeling like they can't do it anymore and they just need a little uplifting, a little encouragement. Know who you are and just be, that amazing bad babe, bad boss. Go out there, do what you got to do for your family and walk in that empowerment that you were gifted with because you're called to be a child of God. And so, just do what you got to do. Love you guys. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye, guys.